So we're going to talk about marketing with your unique mechanism. And so I'm going to give you really a high level view. No shirt change. I debated on doing it just as a goof, but I was like, I figured, you know what though, my wife would probably kill me if she'd be like 3 shirts. But it's funny, David, that you mentioned that because I was debating on I should show up with a different shirt. But so marketing with your unique mechanism. So I'm going to give you a high level view of marketing. Obviously, what we're talking about is kind of a big global view of the E5 method, but I'm going to give you the most essential pieces that you need here to be able to take your unique mechanism and demonstrate why it is superior. So let's start with this. And this is something that by now you've heard me say this numerous times throughout our time together. And that is that at the root of your campaign, at the root of your marketing campaign, what I want you to think about is that you are introducing and proving that you have a unique mechanism, which is the superior option. Like, I want you to keep this out in front of you. I want you to remind yourself that, and you're going to understand kind of the nuance of this in just a few minutes, but this is what we are doing. So I don't want you to, for time purposes, I won't go too deep into the difference between marketing and selling, but I want you to understand that there's a tremendous difference between marketing and selling, right? You like that little segue, how I was like, I'm not going to tell you about marketing and selling, but let me tell you about marketing and selling. There's a tremendous difference between marketing and selling. We're not selling. We're not pitching a product here, right? We're not pitching a product. We're not talking about, we are presenting a new and different way for your prospect to get the result they want and showing how and why that new and different way is superior to every other option. And then what we're doing is we're making them an offer so that they can get and use and benefit from that unique mechanism. That is what I want you to remind yourself of as it relates to your marketing. That is what it is that we are doing. We are not presenting salesmanship in print like the old school method. I love the old school books. I love the old school trainers. I love the old school direct response guys, some of my most cherished books in my library, but that is not what we are doing. Marketing and selling are 2 completely different activities with 2 completely different objectives. Selling is what you do when you're talking to somebody about your product. They already know what it is that they want. They already know they want your type of product, and they just want to know why your product. Marketing is what we do to ultimately lead your prospect to want your product, to want your offer before we ever even present it. I love what Peter Drucker said, the greatest management guru ever. He said, right, the job of marketing, the aim of marketing, the objective of marketing is to make selling superfluous, to make selling unnecessary, to make selling a natural extension. See, so what we're doing ultimately is we are using our marketing message, the marketing portion of the campaign. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to break this down for you to turn your prospect's desire for a result into demand for your mechanism. And then we segue into the offer where they can get the mechanism by taking advantage of your offer. So our entire campaign is built around this idea of introducing your prospects to a new and different way to get the result that they want, and then proving that new and different way, your unique mechanism, is the superior option. That is what we are doing. So when it comes to your marketing campaign, I want you to block everything else out as we go through this right now in terms of, I got to write slick copy. I got to be a great salesperson. Don't I have to kind of, am I using an NLP? Am I doing hypnosis? And none of that. That's all, none of that. And so with that, let me do this. I'm going to, hopefully you could still see, I'm going to turn my camera off since I know the light is shining crazy in here. So there are 5 core campaign chunks in an E5 campaign. You could make the case that there are 5 core campaign chunks in any campaign, but these are the 5 core campaign chunks in an E5 campaign. And I want you to understand a critical piece of this, which is this. I want you to get this, and I want you to listen to me, because this is this is what seems like a nuance or a subtlety. This is a major point here for you. And that is this, that the first 75%, and I believe that it was, I think Philip who said this earlier, I mentioned this earlier, the first 75% of your marketing campaign is really what I call marketing, right? Is marketing, is education-based marketing content. It's only the last 25%. It's only the last 25%, which we're going to talk about, where we are talking about the offer. What I mean by that is that the first 75% of what I say and do and show and present and demonstrate in a marketing campaign, and I don't care whether it is a VSL, whether it is a long form sales letter, whether it is a multi-part video sequence, it does not matter. 75% of what it is that I am talking about is the unique mechanism. I am talking about the value of the unique mechanism. I am building, I'm demonstrating why the unique mechanism is the superior option, meaning 75% of what it is that I say is all about the unique mechanism. And my whole entire job, and I'm going to break this down for you in an easy way to deploy this, is my whole job is to prove what's called the campaign thesis. And really the simple way for you to think about this is, you're going to see this in a second. We're going to break this down, but the campaign thesis is this idea that your unique mechanism is the superior way for the prospect to get the result they want. So the way that I want you to think about this is, the first 75% of what we do, say, show, present, demonstrate, bring to the prospect, is there to do one thing and one thing only. And that is lead the prospect to see your unique mechanism as the superior solution to get what it is that they want. That is the entire aim of the first 75%. The majority of what it is that we say, what most folks would refer to as the marketing argument, the marketing portion, the body of your marketing campaign. What do I say? What do I do? What do I show? What do I present? Everything that we do, say, show, present, and demonstrate is there for one reason and one reason only, and that is to lead the prospect to see that the unique mechanism is the superior way for them to get the result that they want, to experience that promise, that outcome, that transformation. The way that I want you to think about this, and I talk about this extensively in the E5 method, the E5 coaching, the curriculum, the training, all that, is I want you to imagine yourself when you are creating your marketing campaign and you're presenting your unique mechanism. I want you to think like a prosecutor, right? Understand that a prosecutor goes into a court case, and a prosecutor knows that they have one belief that they want the jury to have. Their whole entire job, the prosecutor's entire job, is to lead the jury to that one belief. Typically, that one belief is, right, like that the defendant is guilty of the crime and should be punished to the full extent of the law. Something like that, right? That's the prosecutor's job. Prosecutor's job is ultimately to lead the jury to see that the defendant is guilty of the crime and should be punished to the full extent of the law. So everything that the prosecutor says, does, shows, presents, demonstrates is there to lead the jury to that one conclusion. Anything that does not move the jury closer to seeing the defendant as guilty, anything that does not lead the jury to see the defendant as guilty, the prosecutor does not say. The prosecutor's entire argument is there to prove that the defendant is guilty and should be punished to the full extent of the law. And it's only after the prosecutor presents that full argument, showing the jury why they should believe that the defendant is guilty, does the prosecutor then give the quote unquote call to action of go back to the deliberation room and come up with a guilty verdict. It's only after the prosecutor has led the jury to that one conclusion that the prosecutor then tells them to go make a decision, then gives them the call to action. That is the same thing we are doing. We are, in essence, leading our jury, our prospects, to one conclusion. That conclusion is the campaign thesis. I'm going to teach you how to create it. It's a single statement that you're going to use as the North Star, the guiding light for your marketing message. And it's ultimately, right, that your unique mechanism is the best way for them to get the result that they want. And it's only after we've led the jury, your prospects, to the conclusion that your unique mechanism is the superior way for them to get the result that they want, do we then give the call to action for them to take advantage of your offer. And so I'm sharing this here because I want you to see this at the top over here, because it's only in the last 25% of the marketing campaign of an E5 campaign that we are talking about the product, that we're talking about your service. It's only in the context of the offer that we are presenting your product. In the first 75%, we're not talking at all about your product. Remember, we're not pitching, we're not selling. We are using education-based marketing. I'm going to break this down for you into a few simple steps in just a second so that you can understand how we do this in each of these stages. Excuse me. But I want you to understand that the first 75% of what comes out of my mouth is about the unique mechanism, is building the value around the unique mechanism, is proving why the unique mechanism is the best option. And only after I've done that do I then give them the opportunity to get it through a great offer, a superior, irresistible, no-brainer offer, through a sin offer. It's only after we've established the thesis, right? The one, what we call the buying belief, that we then introduce the offer. So 75% of what it is that I say is about the mechanism and proving the mechanism, proving that it's superior, giving my reasons why. I'm going to show you an example. I'm going to bring this up live on the web in just a second. And then we go into the offer. And so let me break this down for you. So again, the majority of what we say, 75% is, this is why I say that 75% of the campaign is marketing, 25% is selling. Only 25% is talking about the product in the context of the offer, right? And obviously the product is only one piece of the offer, but right, 25% is selling, 75% is marketing, because all of this, what it's doing is we are building demand for the mechanism. All we're doing here is trying to build more and more demand, excuse me, for the mechanism, so that prospects, and how are we building demand for the mechanism? By proving that it is the superior option. We build demand, or we create demand for the mechanism, or I should really say we create demand for the offer when we've created demand for the mechanism. We create demand for the mechanism when we show what makes it superior. When we show what makes it superior, your prospects want it. Why? Because your prospects want the best solution. They don't want the second best. They don't want the third best. They want the best solution. And so once we've led them to see why your unique mechanism is the best solution, right? We've created demand for the mechanism. But that demand for the mechanism now carries over into the offer. Why? Because the offer is how they get and benefit from the unique mechanism. And the offer, as I said earlier, is the only place where they can get the mechanism. Going back to, once again, I believe it was Ryan's question earlier about the all roads lead to you. This is why it's a beautiful thing. This is why an E5 campaigns produce such sky high conversions, because by the time people get to the offer, they are pre-sold on the mechanism. But when I say pre-sold, we weren't selling them. We were educating them. We were educating them on the reasons why this approach, this mechanism, this new and different way is superior to every other way. The reasons why this method works to produce results better, faster, cheaper, easier than any other method. So by the time we segued into the offer, they already saw the value of the mechanism. They already wanted the mechanism. They already recognized how good it was. So when we bring them into the offer, they're ready to rock and roll. And when we use a sin offer, we make it brain dead simple for them to say yes. That's why an E5 campaign produces such crazy results. And so I want you to understand here that this is what we're doing, really, in essence. The big marketing idea really is just the simplest way for you to understand this is the idea behind the campaign, the idea that we are sharing, and we're sharing it in the form of a headline. So really a better way to put this kind of red area over here is big marketing idea conveyed as a headline, right? The headline is what conveys the idea. Right behind every headline is an idea. And so over here, this is about, we are introducing the prospect to your new and different way, right? I have a new and different way for you to get XYZ result, right? here's a new and different way for you to lose up to 15 pounds of body fat from your hips and waist in the next 3 weeks without dieting or blah, 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 right? It's called boom, XYZ method, right? We're introducing them to the, and like I said, I'm going to show you a real live example that likely you've seen from me. But so we're introducing it. That's all we're doing. So we're introducing, there's a new and different way for you to get the result, right? And what we're doing is we're getting attention. Next, in the lead, what is the lead? The lead is the first 350 to 500 or so words of your campaign. It's the first 350, 400, 500 words of your campaign. Whether you are using a webinar, whether you're using a VSL, whether you're using a long form sales letter, whether you're using a multi-part video sequence, it does not matter. Every campaign has a lead, just like every blog post has a lead. Every news story has a lead, right? It is, what are you saying up front? That's the way to think about it. What is the first thing that comes out of your mouth in the first 350, 400, 500, 600 words? What is being said? Because the job of the lead, this is where we are, we're turning attention into engagement. We're turning your prospects' attention into engagement. What we are doing here is we are speaking to the heart. We are, in essence, making the what I would just refer to for ease as the emotional sale. We are convincing the heart. Remember something. I want you to understand that your prospect, that all people in general, that you need to convince the heart before you convince the head, right? Meaning the head, the intellect, if you will, logic, the brain looks for justifications to support what the heart wants, right? And so you speak to the heart first, right? You compel the heart first and then the head. And so the job of the campaign lead is to what I call set the emotional hook, to compel the prospect emotionally. And we do that by teasing the different benefits of the unique mechanism. So we introduced in the headline, in the idea, that there's a new and different way for the prospect to get the result that they want. And then in the lead, all we're doing is teasing the benefits that they can expect to experience. The way to really think about this is we're giving kind of the elevator pitch for the unique mechanism. We're taking the best of the best about the unique mechanism, what it can do for them. Now, we're not educating here. We're just telling them like what this can do for them, like the most exciting parts of this thing, of the unique mechanism in terms of how it works, right? And we're leading with it up front. We're leading with it up front. And so all we are doing is teasing the benefits that they can expect to experience from the unique mechanism. In essence, teasing what it is that they are about to learn, okay? Teasing what it is that they are about to learn. And let me do this really quick. Let's do this. How do I do? Let's get rid of hide presenter notes since there are no notes. No. Yes, a little better. A little better. Okay, so I want to show you this. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. You guys can still see the slide deck? Yes? Okay, awesome. So cool, perfect. Love it. So check this out. So over here, I said, this is the elevator pitch for the unique mechanism. We're bringing the best of the best about the unique mechanism up into the first 350, 400, 500 words over here. And we're getting them emotionally excited. What gets them emotionally excited is that, right? And this is all about the heart over here. This is all about the heart. What gets them emotionally excited is new way results, new way results, new way to get results. Right. And so we're making the elevator pitch for the unique mechanism over here. And our entire job, all we want by this point, by the end of this section, by the end of the first 350, 400, 500 words, all we want over here is for the prospect to say, this sounds awesome. This sounds awesome. Now prove to me that it'll work and prove to me that it'll work for me. That's it, right? This sounds awesome. Like, this is killer. If it, like it, right, to use Todd everyday language, like, this sounds killer, man. If this is legit, this is, oh man, this is awesome, right? This is money. Like, right, that's the thought process that we want them to have. That's it. This sounds awesome, but now prove to me that it'll work and prove to me that it'll work for me, right? So meaning that we've compelled the heart. We've spoken to the heart. We've compelled the heart. They're now emotionally excited. And what they're saying is, right, but now prove to me that this is true. That's really what they're saying. So we took the elevator pitch. We didn't bury the best of the best. We brought it up front, first 350, 400, 500 words, boom, right here, led the prospect to say, this sounds awesome, but now prove to me that it'll work and prove to me that it'll work for me. At which point we go into the campaign argument. Now, without confusing you, to get meta, if you really look at, right, so this is 75%. You know, you could say this is over here is 75%. Well, 75% of the marketing portion is the marketing argument, the campaign argument, if you will. This is where, what are we going to do? Now we're going to prove that the unique mechanism is the superior option, right? Now we're going to prove that the unique mechanism is the superior option. And that's what we're doing here, right? Superior, in essence, superior option. Over here. That's what we are proving. So we're going to prove that the unique mechanism is the superior option. And we're going to take the reasons from the interrogation, reasons why. When we say, right, when you say it works faster, why? It's easier. Why? It produces better results. Why? It gets attention better. Why? It grows greener grass. Why? What are the reasons why? Right? Because what I want you to understand, and this is a little subtle thing here for you guys and gals to grasp, but one of the easiest ways to offer proof, you've likely heard, you know, proof. Without proof, there is no marketing campaign. There is just a bunch of claims, right? Proof is essential. Every top copywriter, even the legendary copywriters especially, will tell you that, right, that proof is essential in any marketing campaign. You can't just have claims. Well, one of the easiest types of proof points to present is reasons why. Reason why. This is why when Gary Bencivenga said the word because. Gary Bencivenga, who is one of the greatest copywriters to ever play the game, guy could not be beat for many years. You ask anybody from the direct response world how good Gary Bencivenga was, and they'll tell you an animal, one of the greatest ever, right? Gary said that one of the most powerful words in all of marketing is the word because. The reason why is that everything that comes after the word because serves as a proof point. So if I say, right, that XYZ works fast, and then I say because everything that comes after this is viewed as a proof point. Even Dr. Robert Cialdini in the book Influence, Science of Persuasion talks about this. Everything that comes after is the word because. This is how and why we are able to use the reasons why that we uncovered during your interrogation as part of the campaign argument. All we're doing is we're going to take, if we're claiming that it works fast, we're going to say that it works fast, and then we're going to give the reasons why. Reasons why, right? Because the reason why is any of those kind of phrases, the word, right? Because it does X, Y, Z, because it uses, because it leverages, or right, it works quick. The reason why is because it blah, 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 blah. We say it is easy, right? Easy to do, right? Easy to do. The reason why is because blah, 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 right? It produces consistent results. The reason why is blah, 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 blah. And so all we are doing here is we are proving that the unique mechanism is the superior option. And once we have proven that the unique mechanism is the superior option, that's when we segue into the offer, where we are offering the unique mechanism. Remember, this is the only place to get place for the unique mechanism. This is it. This is the only place that they can get the unique mechanism, and they get the unique mechanism through your product. Your product is what? Your product, your service, your offer is what gives them the unique mechanism. And And so, so let me see here. So I want to show you this. I'm going to show you something real quick. I want to show you let's see if I could do this. I'm going to show you something really quickly. How many of you have seen this campaign? Yeah. So look at this. So I want you to just look at this campaign real quick. So I want you to notice, and I've shared this multiple times. So if you really, and I'm going to go through this very quickly, right? Borrow a bestseller. This is the unique mechanism. This is the unique mechanism, borrow a bestseller. Now, here's what I want you to notice. This is the only reason why I'm sharing this with you. I want you to notice two things. Number one, I'm going to show you, I want you to look at the lead. Right? This sounds crazy. It's working like nothing I've seen. Choose any best-selling book, any author. You can borrow it, fill your business with new customer sales as little as 5 days, and you keep 100% of the money. You can use a borrowed bestseller with new books, old books, classics, even books which just hit the shelves. It doesn't matter. Pick anyone, borrow it, fill your business with a surge of buyers. Now notice, I'm going to stop for 1 second. Notice that, right? All I'm doing is bringing up the best stuff about the unique mechanism, about this borrowing a bestseller campaign, right? Same thing. And so all I'm doing is getting the prospect excited, right? Pick anyone, borrow it, fill your business, surge a buyer. You can do it for as long as you want to continue to drive more and more. Start small, start big, however you want. It's perfect. It's the perfect advertising method for you if you're short on time, don't have a product yet, don't feel like creating a new product, just want a hefty credibility boost, right? Get you new customers. You can do this no matter what niche you're in, what product or service you sell, whether you're new or grizzled veteran. You don't need a list. You don't need joint ventures. You don't need social media. You don't need this. You don't need this. Best-selling authors will love you for it. Best part of all, it's easy, it's fast. You can start seeing sales in a few days. You may want to jump on this. Boom. Hi, my name is Todd. End of the lead right here. End of the lead. Intro, little credibility section right here. Everything that I said up to this point, right, was just teasing the unique mechanism. You don't need this. You don't need this. It'll do this for you. You can start small. You can start big, right? It'll get you customers. You keep 100% of the money. You could choose any best-selling book from any author. You can borrow it, right? Now, that's the lead. Now I want you to notice something. So go in here. Here's what it'll do for you. Now, here's what I'm little known customer generating, right? I wish I could say I invented it. I didn't. I stumbled across it, right? Some of the companies, some of the biggest, most successful marketing campaigns are borrowing bestsellers. They're building monster-sized new customers like Newsmax. What am I talking about here? I'm talking about the mechanism, borrowing the mechanism of borrowing a bestseller, right? And that's just one of dozens of bestsellers they're borrowing. Here's more. What am I doing? I'm building credibility around the mechanism in this particular case. What I want you to see, I don't want you to get caught up in the specifics. I just want you to see that all of this, right? But it is about the mechanism. They're not the only ones. Here's Health Radar, Ultimate Wealth Report, Chauncey Health Radar, Blaylock Wellness, right? And none of these companies own them. They didn't write them. They didn't invest any time creating them. They simply borrow them. They're using the borrow bestseller campaign, and every sale they keep 100% of the money. Fact is, you don't need to write. Think about it with this method, with this process. No writing. No, you have a sellable product instantly. You could create credibility. Blah blah blah. An ocean of buyers, right? If that's not a beautiful marketing opportunity, I don't know what is. Right now, I'm going to give an example of I tested this here, right? And the beautiful thing, there are hundreds of bestsellers. All of this is about the mechanism. Me proving, right? Why am I sharing this? There are hundreds of bestsellers that you can borrow right now to show them that this method of borrowing a bestseller is available to them, right? And there are tons of different books that you can do this with. You don't need any special relationship or connections to do what? To do or use or benefit from this mechanism. Here is my case study, persuasion, Robert Cialdini, right? Here's what my buddy Russell had to say. Of course, right? then the real beauty is that you make money off of of things you sell afterwards, showing them what this can do for your business. It's as simple as 3 steps. You can borrow and sell a fitness bestseller if you're in it. Here are examples of how you can use this. Use what? Borrow best. Use what? The unique mechanism. All this, and there are tons of examples that you can deploy right now. Here's an example of what would be available to you. Another example, another example, another example. This is not about the product. Now look at the, you see this over here off to the right? You see this over here, how far down on this page we are? And I have not talked about the product. It's only down here. So here's what to do now. If you look at the scroll bar from here up is all about the mechanism. All about the mechanism. And so that goes back to what it is that I was sharing about that 75%. Let me see here. 75% and 25%. 75% is about the mechanism, 25% about the offer. So I want to talk to you about, I said, do this. I just want to show you a few other things here before I get to your stuff. And so I want to talk about the campaign thesis. I just want to make sure that you see how simple this is. This is right. I want you to look at this as we are going to, for your unique mechanism, what we're going to form what we call a campaign thesis statement. This is going to be a statement that you are going to use as the guiding light for everything that you say in your campaign argument. Because remember that our entire goal is to prove this campaign thesis, to prove the campaign thesis. And ultimately, there are 3 components to this campaign thesis. And I want you to see how we've already talked about this. There is a statement of superiority, a statement of what makes your method superior. Why is it superior? Like you'll see this in a second. There is the promise of outcome, the result, the transformation, and there is the unique mechanism. So your campaign thesis will always be in this format. The superior way to primary promise is with unique mechanism. The superior way to primary promise is with unique mechanism. Now, I want to point something out here. When I say the superior way, this could be, is yours the fastest? Is, like I said earlier, remember that, is it the fastest way to the primary promise, to the outcome, to the transformation? Is it the easiest? Is it the most consistent? Is it the most effective? Maybe it's one of those. Maybe it's 2 of those. Maybe it's all of those, right? But what is the superior aspect that you are claiming? Are you claiming that yours is the easiest way? Right? Because remember, if all you're claiming is that yours is the easiest way, well, then that's all we have to prove. We don't have to prove that it is anything else. Are you proving that it is the most consistent? Well, if so, then that's all we need to prove. We don't have to worry about that it's the most effective. We just have to show and explain, give the reasons why it is most effective. So understand this, and this is a subtle point, but I want you to grasp this, that whatever you choose as the point of superiority that you are claiming, we have to support in the marketing argument with the reasons why. And so if you're claiming that it's the fastest, easiest, and most effective, you're going to have to give a lot more reasons why than if you just claimed it was the fastest. Right? So if you claim it's the fastest, it's the easiest, and it's the most effective, you have to give reasons why it's the fastest. You have to give reasons why it's the easiest, and you have to give reasons why it is the most effective. If you only claim that it is the most effective and you're not claiming that it's the fastest or the easiest, then you only have to give reasons why it is the most effective. My point is that you want to choose the point of superiority carefully because it determines what it is that you are going to have to say. Just like, right? Remember, this is the one belief that we want your prospects to have before we go into the offer. Just like this is the one belief that the prosecutor needs the jury to have before the prosecutor asks the jury to make a decision about the defendant, guilt or not, right? And so whatever the conclusion is that the prosecutor wants the jury to have, they have to present the reasons why the jury should believe that, right? They have to present the reasons, the evidence, the support, whatever you want to call it, for why the jury needs to believe that. Same thing here, right? Remember, this is going to be that one belief. This statement right here, and I'm going to give you examples in just a second. The blank way, the fastest way, the easiest way, the most convenient way, the simplest way, the most reliable way, the safest way to understand this. When we say safest way, just as an example, safest, we are claiming superiority, just we're only claiming superiority in the realm of safety. If we say fastest, we're claiming superiority. We're claiming superiority in the realm of speed. If we say easiest, we're claiming superiority. We're claiming that this is the easiest, right? Therefore, everything else is not as easy. And so inherent in that, in those words, fastest, easiest, right? If we say the most effective, most productive, most consistent, whatever, right? All of those things are claiming superiority. So the thing is what are you claiming superiority for? Just recognize there is no right or wrong answer, right? The right answer really should be, what is your method? What is your method based on the interrogation superior in? Is it superior in speed, ease? Is it superior in, is it the most effective, right? But you want to choose it wisely, because remember, whatever this thesis is, we have to offer the reasons why. If we don't offer the reasons why, then we are not going to lead the prospects to believe it, right? And so if we don't lead them to believe it, we've defeated the whole purpose. So this is the format, and you do not want to change this. You do not want to expand this. This is not copy. This single statement that you're going to write down, this is in your workbook for those of you that are working along on the workbook. This is the single statement that you are going to use as your guiding light, right? Meaning this is your North Star, your guiding light. When it comes to the campaign argument, this is, right, whatever I say, show, do, present, demonstrate, all that stuff is leading the prospect one step closer to accepting this belief as true, period. And anything that is not moving the prospect closer to accepting this belief as true, we take out. We purge it from the campaign. If you don't know how it is moving the prospect closer to accepting your campaign thesis statement as true, take it out. Take it out. Everything that we do, we say, we show, we present, we demonstrate should be moving the prospect one step closer to accepting the campaign thesis statement as true. Because once we get the prospect to accept the campaign thesis statement, they have accepted that your unique mechanism is the superior solution. We have built demand for your mechanism, demand for your offer before we ever even talk about it. And so simple example thesis statements, and you'll notice that they're all in the same format. The fastest way to build thicker biceps is with contractile emphasis. All of this is made up, obviously. The fastest way, that's superiority, build thicker biceps, promise, with contractile emphasis, unique mechanism. The most effective way to regrow hair on the front of your head is with linear micro needling, right? Again, all of these are totally made up. The most effective way, claim of superiority, regrow hair on the front of your head, promise, with linear micro needling, unique mechanism. The easiest way to learn to speak a new language fluently in under 5 months is with contextual reinforcement. The easiest way, claim of superiority, learn to speak a new language fluently in under 5 months, promise, with contextual reinforcement, unique mechanism. The most consistent way to drop a pound or more of fat from your butt every week is with pelvic stimulation. I probably should have chosen a different word than stimulation, but you get the point. The most consistent way, superiority, drop a pound or more of fat from your butt every week, promise, with pelvic stimulation, unique mechanism. These are examples of thesis statements that we would create for ourselves after we've interrogated our mechanism, named our mechanism from the interrogation, right? And then, well, what are we claiming superiority in? And then we're going to put together, right, what are we claiming superiority in? What promise are we claiming that it is superior at delivering? And then we put the name of the mechanism in there. And so I don't use pelvic stimulation, and I don't even know where to go with that. I got to be careful. So this is, again, this becomes a statement that we use. This isn't copy, even though I would say to you that there are some lessons to learn in here, like, right, notice how this is written. The fastest way to build thicker biceps, the most effective way to regrow hair on the front of your head, the easiest way to learn to speak. We're talking about superiority, the promise, and then the mechanism. We're not, we didn't say how to use contractile emphasis to build thicker biceps the fastest way. No, we said the fastest way to build thicker biceps, meaning we're focusing on the benefit, right? This is the statement that you would use to put together your campaign argument. This just becomes your guiding light. This is what I'm proving. This is where I'm going. This is my statement that I need the jury to see that the defendant is guilty of the crime and should be punished to the full extent of the law. This is right. This is my thesis statement. Like, this is what I need them to buy. This is that buying belief. I need them to have this belief before I go into my offer, because as long as they have this buying belief before you go into your offer, they are pre-sold on your offer. You will have sky high sales conversions. As long as they are right, as long as they accept. So everything that we do and say and show in the campaign argument is there to establish this one belief. Now, when it comes to forming, and I want to be careful here because I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but I do want to put a bow on this for you, and then we're going to go to you guys and gals. I know I'm already crazy over time, but I want to make sure that anybody that's got something for me, I'm gonna roll with it. I want to talk about the two argument models. There are two ways, and this is a little bit advanced. I wasn't going to include this in here, but I think that it's worth sharing with you guys and gals, because I think that it will make things clear for you. There are two argument models. There are two different ways to present the campaign argument, two different angles. And somebody asked about this a little bit earlier. There's what I call the root cause solution, and then there's the better solution. Everything that we've really been talking about up to this point is the better solution, or the majority of what we've been talking about is, I'm going to prove that this is the better solution. I'm going to prove that this works better to deliver the result, that this works faster, that this works easier, that this is, produces more consistent results, or that this produces bigger results, that this strips off more fat faster, it strips off fat faster, or whatnot, right? But there is also what's called the root cause solution. And the root cause solution is, and we talked about this earlier when we talked about looking at your competitors. And this is like, right, when you are kind of looking at your competitors and you're interrogating your own mechanism, and you realize my competitors they have mechanisms that don't address the real problem. They are just addressing the symptoms of the problem. They're addressing kind of a byproduct of the real problem. And you say to yourself, and I'm the only one, my method, my system, my process is the only one that's really addressing the root cause of the problem. That's when you would use this approach, right? And so when you would say to yourself, well, they're addressing the symptom, I'm addressing the root cause, meaning that we're not saying that mine produces better results, faster results, like just because it's better. We're saying that we're the only one that is addressing the real root cause. The reason why lots of people fail with these common approaches is because they're just treating the symptom. They are just a Band-Aid. And there is only one method, right? There is a method to treat the root cause. And when you treat the root cause, it benefit. It's called unique mechanism, right? And here's how it works to treat the root cause, right? And so this is an approach and this is not common. So this approach is not the common approach. I would say if we looked at the Pareto principle, 80-20, 20% of the time, you're going to see, like mechanisms where it's, hey, I address the real root cause. That is just addressing those are just addressing the symptoms. The other 80% of the time, the unique mechanism is the better solution. So for the root cause solution, it's what's the real root cause of the problem that the prospect is facing? What is the symptom that competitors are addressing? The symptom or symptoms that competitors are addressing with their mechanisms? What evidence or support can you share to show that the prospect that what is the real root cause of their problem? Right? Like, what can you show them? What can you explain? What can you tell them that lets them see that what those other mechanisms are doing is just treating the symptom, not the real underlying cause? What proof or evidence or support or reasons do you have that you can share to show the prospect that there is a real underlying cause that you are not addressing, or that those other mechanisms aren't addressing? How does your unique mechanism solve the root cause? Like, how does it work to solve the root cause? And then what are the benefits of having the real root cause solved, right? So if you've got a mechanism where if you're in a situation where your competitors are addressing the symptoms of the real underlying problem, and you're the only one that has a solution to address the underlying problem, you're going to name your unique mechanism, right? But now your argument, your campaign argument is basically going to be based around you showing that those other methods, those other approaches are only treating the symptom. They're not treating the root cause. Here is evidence of that. And here is a different way that here's a unique method that you can use that does treat the root cause. And by treating the root cause and eliminating the root cause or solving the root cause, you get these benefits. Right? That ultimately is one way to present the argument when your competitors are only treating the symptoms, not the root cause, and you are treating the root cause. But if if they're not treating the symptom, they are treating the cause, you're treating the cause, it's the same thing, then you go with the better solution. And the better solution, the simple way to put together this argument portion is, what does better mean? So you have to decide, like we said in that campaign thesis, is it easier? Is it faster? Is it more effective? Is it more consistent? Is it cheaper? Like what makes it superior? What makes it better, right? Like what is that superiority aspect that you're going to claim? Why is it better? Meaning, how does it work? Why is it faster? Why is it easier, right? And you've heard me say this a number of times today. Why is it better? Why is it faster? Why is it easier? Why does it produce more consistent results? What evidence support can you share to show why your unique mechanism is better? When I say evidence support, I mean reasons why that you uncovered during the interrogation. Don't think that this is not more. The evidence, the support are your reasons why. Remember, your reasons why give the evidence, give the support for the claim that this is easier, this is faster, this is simpler, this is more consistent. And what are the better benefits of your unique mechanism? In other words, like what are the benefits of your unique mechanism? So in other words, like they should choose yours because it's easier. And so what's the benefit of it being easier, right? Less steps or less learning, blah, blah, blah. It's faster. What's the benefits of it being faster, of it producing faster results? Return on investment quicker. You can scale faster. You can, right? And so these are the two ways that you put together your argument. You either have the real root cause solution or you have the better solution. And that is all you are doing to prove to your prospect that you've got the better. What's up, Debbie? So the root cause solution is dependent on your competitor examination. It's dependent on two things. It is dependent on, are your competitors addressing only the symptoms? Like there are two things that have to be present in order to use the root cause solution. There are two things that have to be present. Number one is that your competitors are addressing the symptoms of the root cause. That's the first kind of criteria that needs to be there, that your competitors are addressing the symptoms of the root cause. And the second criteria that needs to be in place is that your mechanism addresses the root cause. Right? If one of those are missing, you can't use the root cause solution. So if your competitors are addressing the symptoms, the symptom or symptoms, and you are as well, you can't do root cause. If they are also addressing the root cause and you can't use the root cause solution argument because they're addressing the root cause as well. The only time you can use the root cause solution is if your competitors are addressing the symptom and your mechanism is addressing the root cause. That's when you can use it. And so that's why I said, it's different from it's not as common as the better solution, because both of those criteria have to be in place for you to do that. And so would you ever use both root cause and better solution? No, I wouldn't, because and that's a great question. And so it's a really good question, Glenn. I wouldn't, because the reality is that the root cause solution, when both of those criteria exist, competitors are addressing the symptom and my mechanism is addressing the real root cause, well, it is the superior solution. I don't need to say it's better, it's faster, it's easier, because it's the only one that's addressing the real root cause. Meaning that it's almost like my way of saying, like, the reason why those methods, the common approaches, don't produce results, the real reason why is because they're not addressing the root cause. And so they're just addressing a symptom. And as long as they continue to address the symptom and that root cause continues to be there, people will continue to struggle, suffer, blah, 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 blah. But when you deal with that root cause with the Todd method or whatever, with the Todd, with cash flow compounding or whatever, right, here's what happens. Boom. And now I go, right. And so it naturally is understand that the way to say it, the way to think about it is the root cause solution is still the better solution, like lowercase better solution. And then the better solution is the better solution. The difference is in why, right? So the difference is in the root cause solution is better because it's the only one that addresses the root cause. The better solution is better because it's either faster, easier, more consistent, results, something like that. And so hopefully that makes it clear for you, right? They're both superior. They're both superior than everything else. They're just superior for different reasons. The root cause solution is superior because it's the only one that addresses the root cause. And if you don't address the root cause and you only address the symptoms, you're going to continue to struggle and suffer. It's only when you address the root cause that the problem goes away. Therefore, right? Therefore, this is a superior solution. This is a superior option because it's the only one that addresses the real root cause. And then on the better solution side, it's also superior, but it's superior not because it's the only one that addresses the root cause, but because it is faster, it's easier, it produces better results, more results, it doesn't get you flagged, it's safer, right? Any one of those reasons or any combination of those reasons. And so sometimes I'll tell you that, it's interesting because sometimes I'll tell you for what it's worth, and I want to be careful here with time because I know I'm already way over and I want to take your stuff. And so I don't want to go down this crazy rabbit hole, but some of the savviest marketers are able to, they craft campaigns like, and this is advanced, but I just want to get this on your radar, that they can come up with arguments to show why the common approaches are just addressing a symptom. They can make a strong case for why what everybody is addressing is just a symptom and is not the real root cause. And I'm the only one that knows how to address the root cause. My buddy, Rich Sheffrin, did this many, many moons ago. Rich is one of my dear friends, very, very sharp entrepreneur. Years ago, he came out with a report that was about the difference between being a strategic entrepreneur and an opportunity seeker. And he said that what most people were doing, the reason why most people were overwhelmed with information, why they were overwhelmed with tactics, was not because they needed to get better at the tactics, not because they needed better tactics, but because they were being opportunity seekers. And instead of being strategic entrepreneurs, the opportunity seekers are the ones with info overload, he said, blah, blah, blah. And the strategic entrepreneurs are the ones that don't have overload, or the ones that succeed, or the ones that have streamlined businesses, right? And then what he said, and therefore you need to learn how to become a strategic entrepreneur. That was masterfully done. This is over a decade ago now. It was masterfully done. It was masterfully done because what he showed folks that he created out of thin air was that what you think is the problem is not the problem. The problem isn't that you need more tactics or better tactics, right? That is a symptom, right, of the fact that you are being an opportunity seeker, and you being an opportunity seeker is causing you all the problems. You need to be a strategic entrepreneur. And right, when you become a strategic entrepreneur, all those problems disappear. And of course, Rich was the only one at the time that was teaching people how to become a strategic entrepreneur. So he created a root cause that he was the only provider. He was the only person that had a solution to that root cause. He showed folks, this is not your problem. This is a symptom. This is your real problem. This real problem, when it's solved, will bring you to the promised land. And I am the only one that has the solution to that real problem. And it was masterfully done. And it's why he turned around and, had a generated $7 million in like the first 10 months or something like that. It was awesome to watch. if you have options, which would you use, the root cause solution or the better solution? So it's a great question. I would say that I would choose the one where I have the strongest evidence or support, the ones where I have the strongest, where I could make the strongest argument, where I believe that I can make the strongest argument. Right. So they're both wildly effective. There's no one that's better than the other. And so if I have a choice between the two, I'm going to go with the one where I have what I feel is the stronger argument. I have more proof. I have more evidence. I can demonstrate more, like, right. If there's one of them that has a weaker argument, so to speak, then I go with the other one. Right. And so they're both really, really great. And so